This conference will now be recorded.
Hello students. So now we are learning about mineral nutrition. So in this chapter for NEET exam, you have to learn about the essential minerals, which are micro and macro elements, and what is their role and their deficiency symptoms. Then we need to get an idea about hydroponics, that we have already covered that portion. And then what is mineral nutrition? Then the main topic is nitrogen metabolism. In that you will get nitrogen cycle and biological nitrogen fixation. Okay, so here now we are moving to the main part. First, before that, the mobility of elements. We have covered almost all the mineral nutrients and their function and their deficiency symptoms already. So next we are moving to mobility of elements. So when we are saying about mobility of elements, the elements which are cannot or which cannot move freely in the plants, they are called as immobile elements. Immobile elements. Okay, so the elements which cannot move freely in the plants, they are called as immobile elements. An example for this immobile elements, so you will get this question, example for immobile elements. You have to select from the option in that: calcium, boron, silicon, then iron. All these are immobile elements. So the elements which cannot move freely in the plants, they are called as immobile elements, and which can move from old leaves to young leaves. Another type, that is from old leaf to young leaf. Elements which can move from old to young leaves. Old leaf to young leaves, they are called as mobile elements. So the elements, they will move from older leaves to the younger leaves and to the growing tips. Okay, to the growing region or to the younger leaves they will move. They are called as mobile elements. For example, nitrogen, then phosphorus, potassium, chlorine, magnesium, all these are mobile elements. Okay, examples for mobile elements. Then this deficiency symptom of this immobile elements, these immobile elements, we said they cannot move freely, right, in plants that cannot move freely. So their deficiency symptom of these immobile elements, first they'll appear in the young leaves, and we said immobile elements, their deficiency that we can see in young leaves. First it will be visible in the young leaves. And if mobile elements deficiency, that will appear in older leaves first. In older leaves we can see the deficiency first. Okay, then we need to say about the absorption of mineral nutrition. Absorption of mineral nutrition. So what is this absorption of mineral nutrition? See, we know that minerals, they are required in very specific amount by plants, right? Minerals, if that is over, then also it is a problem. If it is less in quantity, that is also a problem, right? So here the minerals which are required in very specific amount, right? These are required in a specific amount for plants.
So the absorption of minerals in even condition, that means in a even way or slightly higher amount. There is a required amount or a specific amount. So slightly higher than this. Slightly higher than the specific or the required amount means that will result in the mineral toxicity. Mineral toxicity. So it may create a toxic condition. If it is higher than the required quantity, the absorption of minerals, even it is slightly higher than the required amount, it will cause mineral toxicity. And all these minerals, they are mainly absorbed by the roots, right? We know that it is absorbed by roots. Through root, it is getting absorbed, and they are in direct contact with the soil, right? In soil solution, right? Soil is in moisture condition. From that, through that moisture condition or with water, along with water, all the nutrients are getting absorbed. So minerals, they are mainly absorbed through roots, and they are in direct contact with the soil solution. So how the transport is taking place, transport of minerals from the roots to leaves, how it is taking place, that is through xylem. Okay, so through xylem, transport of minerals from root to leaf, the movement of minerals, that is taking place by, or it is through the xylem. With the help of the xylem, this movement is taking place. Then another point, these minerals which are absorbed by the plants, those are, that absorption, that is in two different ways, like passive mineral absorption and active mineral absorption. Mineral absorption, it is mainly through two ways, that is passive mineral absorption and active mineral absorption. These are the two ways. So in the first one, in the passive mineral absorption, the driving force which is involved, that is physical force. Okay, that means not, that is non-metabolic. In passive, we'll say first driving force which is involved, that is physical force. Physical force, in the sense we can say that it's non-metabolic. That force is non-metabolic in origin. Okay, it's a physical force. And different modes which are involved in this passive absorption, they are facilitated diffusion. This is important question. Facilitated diffusion. Then mass flow. Then here Donan equilibrium. Then fourth one is ion exchange. Okay, so all these, the driving force which is involved in the passive absorption, that is called as, or that is a physical force in origin. That means that is non-metabolic. So different modes which are involved in this passive absorption are massive flow, ion exchange, facilitated diffusion, and Donan equilibrium. Next is, which one is the next one? Active mineral absorption. Active mineral absorption. And we need to say one point, this passive mineral absorption, that is in the initial phase. Okay, and active mineral absorption is taking place in the metabolic phase. That both the points we need to note down. One is in the initial phase, which one? Passive one, and the active mineral absorption is taking place in the metabolic phase. Okay, and next we are saying about the active mineral absorption. So the driving force which is involved in the active absorption, that is the energy which is derived from metabolic process. This is from metabolism. Through metabolic processes, the energy is getting derived in which one? In active absorption. Okay, and here we know that it's active mineral absorption, and here we can assume that carrier molecules are involved in the transport. Here carrier molecules will be involved in which one? In active mineral absorption. So for the transport of that solute across the membrane, or in active mineral absorption, we can say carrier molecules are involved. For what? For transporting the solute across the membrane, right? So that is the active mineral absorption. So here absorption of minerals, that is in active way and passive way, both the ways it is taking place. And next, the important, very important part of this chapter, from where you can expect good questions, that is nitrogen metabolism. This is the last topic of this chapter, metabolism of nitrogen. So we know that nitrogen means that is one of the most prevalent element in the living organisms, right? Nitrogen is very important. And this nitrogen, that is the component of amino acid, protein, then it's a part of some hormones, then chlorophyll, then it's a part of many vitamins, right? So chlorophyll and many vitamins, you can see it's nitrogen is an important part of all of this, like amino acids, proteins, chlorophyll, hormone, vitamins and all. Then the atmospheric nitrogen, we know that this atmospheric nitrogen, that is an inert gas, right? So this cannot be used directly by the plants, right? Inert gas that cannot be used directly by the plants. So what is happening here? Nitrogen fixation. So atmospheric nitrogen is getting fixed. How? So nitrogen fixation, for that different methods are there. Biological nitrogen fixation is there, industrial way it is getting fixed, and in an electrical way. So there are so many processes for this atmospheric nitrogen fixation, right? So what is nitrogen fixation, that we will learn. So here the nitrogen cycle is there. So this nitrogen cycle, that shows the relationship between the three factors, like biological, industrial and atmospheric nitrogen fixation. So let's learn this biological nitrogen fixation first. Let's see the nitrogen fixation. What is nitrogen fixation? Conversion of nitrogen, or free nitrogen, we can say. We can specifically say that conversion of free nitrogen. Free nitrogen means the atmospheric nitrogen, which is from the atmosphere. So the conversion of nitrogen, the free nitrogen from the atmosphere, into nitrogenous salts. Into nitrogenous salts. So why it is making in that form? Then only it will be available for the absorption, right? So plants can absorb. So here the conversion of nitrogen from the atmosphere into nitrogenous salts and making it available for the plants for their absorption. That is called as nitrogen fixation. So nitrogen fixation means first the free nitrogen is getting converted into nitrogenous salts and these nitrogenous salts are absorbed by the plants. That is called as the fixation, nitrogen fixation. And there are two methods for nitrogen fixation. Which are the two methods for nitrogen fixation? First one is abiological nitrogen fixation. And second one is biological nitrogen fixation. Biological and abiological nitrogen fixation, these are the methods for nitrogen fixation. So abiological nitrogen fixation means this is taking place in the presence of physical factors. Which are the physical factors? Physical factors like lightning, electrical discharge, thunder, atmospheric pollutants, then storm, all these things are the physical factors, and in the presence of these physical factors a biological nitrogen fixation is taking place. Presence of physical factors we can see there in a biological nitrogen fixation. And what about biological nitrogen fixation? So this biological nitrogen fixation, this is taking place through the assembly of free living bacteria and cyanobacteria. Biological nitrogen fixation is with the help of free living bacteria and cyanobacteria. Okay, so here the biological nitrogen fixation, that is through the assembly of free living bacteria. That means asymbiotic or symbiotic bacteria, and another one is the cyanobacteria. Clear? So here cyanobacteria, while saying about cyanobacteria, we need to say about biological nitrogen fixation. Rhizobium, that is very important, or the chief bacterium which is involved in the biological nitrogen fixation. Which one? Rhizobium. Rhizobium is the main bacteria which is involved in the biological nitrogen fixation. And this rhizobium, that is symbiotically associated with the roots of leguminous plants, and then it will form root nodules. That's how the biological nitrogen fixation is taking place. Okay, so here rhizobium bacteria is important for the biological nitrogen fixation, and that will symbiotically get associated with the roots of leguminous plants, and that forms the root nodules. Okay, so this is helping for the biological nitrogen fixation. Then mechanism of biological nitrogen fixation we need to learn. See, we need to learn the mechanism or the steps of biological nitrogen fixation. So first we will start the symbiotic bacteria that fixes nitrogen. Okay, symbiotic bacteria. And how this is using one enzyme which is called as nitrogenase enzyme. Here it is using the nitrogenase enzyme. Right, nitrogenase enzyme. And this nitrogenase enzyme is responsible for the reduction of nitrogen to ammonia. So this nitrogenase enzyme is helping for reduction of nitrogen to ammonia with the help of which one? With the help of this nitrogenase enzyme. Nitrogen to ammonia, that reduction is taking place. Okay, and this step here, this is highly sensitive for molecular oxygen and leg hemoglobin. Leg hemoglobin. Leg hemoglobin, this is a pigment which is ensuring that enzyme is protected from, this enzyme is protected from oxygen. Okay, so symbiotic bacteria that is fixing nitrogen, and that is taking place with the help of one enzyme, nitrogenase enzyme, and this enzyme is responsible for the reduction of nitrogen to ammonia. And this is very sensitive for molecular oxygen, this enzyme. So leg hemoglobin is the pigment which is ensuring the enzyme is protected from oxygen or not. Okay, and in biological nitrogen fixation, this dinitrogen, in biological nitrogen fixation, this dinitrogen that is progressively reduced or step-by-step reduction is there, and that will form ammonia, NH3, that will get reduced to form ammonia. So this process of this ammonia formation that require a hydrogen donating system, that require hydrogen donating system and ATP, right? So here nitrogen plus 8 electrons plus 8 H plus ions plus this is energy required process. So here 16 ATPs are getting used. Okay, that forms ammonia. 2 molecules of ammonia, 2 NH3 plus H2, then 16 ATP is getting converted into ADP. Okay, so the organic matter which is present in the soil, that is also getting decomposed, and that produces ammonia, and that process is called as ammonification. Ammonification. Next is See, the most of the ammonia which is produced, now ammonia is produced, right? So ammonification is over. So this ammonia which is produced by nitrogen fixers or the ammonification, NH3 or the ammonia which is produced by this ammonification process, either this will get absorbed and assimilated by higher plants. So this ammonia is getting absorbed or assimilated. Or this is getting converted into nitrates through nitrification. This is called as nitrification. Then during the process of this nitrification, ammonia is oxidized into nitrate. So nitrification. During this process of nitrification, ammonia, which is oxidized to form nitrite and nitrate. Nitrite ions and nitrate ions. With the help of which one? With the help of some type of soil bacteria which is called as nitrifying bacteria. Nitrifying nitrifying bacteria. And examples, these are important questions. Examples for nitrifying bacteria: Nitrosomonas and Nitrobacter. Nitrosomonas and Nitrobacter. These are the nitrifying bacteria. And here the enzymes which is reduced to ammonia. So this enzyme which is reducing the ammonia to nitrate and nitrate, that is, which are the enzymes? Reductase and nitrite reductase. Nitrate reductase and nitrite reductase. This reductase enzyme which is reducing ammonia to nitrate, that is nitrate reductase and nitrite reductase. Then other points, these enzyme names are all very important for the exam. Here the ammonium ions. So these ammonium ions are safely assimilated by higher plants, and they are subsequently incorporated into amino acid and other organic substances or organic compounds in plants. Okay, so this ammonium ions which are safely assimilated, this is happening through two methods, that is reductive amination and transamination. Reductive amination and transamination. Then about another important point you need to learn, that is denitrification. This denitrification means that is a process in which nitrate which is present in the soil is reduced back to free nitrogen. Back to free nitrogen. See, in the field, which one we will use, which fertilizer we'll use, the NPK fertilizers, right? NPK fertilizer. So what it is doing, it is supplying the nutrients which are required for the plants, N, P and K. In different ratios, this will be available. For each crop, that ratio varies. So these are the main points which you need to learn in this chapter, which is the important thing is nitrogen fixation. So nitrogen fixation, about nitrogen fixation we are saying means atmospheric nitrogen, which is in the inert form of nitrogen, that will get into the nitrogen fixation, and biological nitrogen fixation is taking place, industrial fixation is there, electrical fixation is there. So biological nitrogen fixation is first ammonia, then into nitrite, and then to nitrate. Okay, then this usable form of nitrate that will be uptaken by the plants and the plant biomass. So finally, the process of nitrogen metabolism that you have learned. Now the nitrogen fixation, under that abiotic nitrogen fixation, then the biological nitrogen fixation, both you need to mention. And the bacterium which is beneficial or which is mainly useful or involved in the biological nitrogen fixation is rhizobium. And the mechanism of biological nitrogen fixation. And what is leg hemoglobin, you have to learn. So under that mechanism of biological nitrogen fixation, you have learned about leg hemoglobin, then the ammonification, nitrification, then the enzymes that reduces ammonia to nitrate and nitrate, that is nitrate reductase and nitrite reductase. And the NPK, that is different for different type of crops. Clear? So these are the main topics. So in this chapter, in the mineral nutrition, we have learned about inorganic nutrients and nitrogen metabolism. So here, while saying about each and every topic, I have covered all the previous year questions also, so that you will not get confused. Okay, so this mineral nutrition chapter, this is over now. So almost all past 5 to 6 years, and from the first topic, 10 years question paper, I have covered all the points I have covered in that chapter. And if you're getting more number of questions, you can try it out. So in the next class, we'll move to another chapter. Thank you.